This will be probably the last time I tell this story, so pay close attention. For several good reasons, I left Illinois and moved to Missouri, where I got a job cleaning as a custodian for an elementary school, 3rd, 4th graders. Now the first 3 months were during the summer, where I worked with the morning custodian and the other person who'd be working nights with me. We cleaned the whole place from ceiling to floor. It didn't bother me that I worked nights at an elementary school. Prior to that, for about 12 years, I'd cleaned offices after hours, so working nights and by myself didn't bother me. And having somebody to work with at nights, the other person who worked with me, we got along well, and it was nice having somebody to share lunches with and breaks. Well, the first few months afterwards, when school started, I'm now working till near midnight. After the kids left and the teachers left, well, me and the other person, we just did our jobs, and a few times I could have swore I heard children playing in the hallways, but you know, I just put it to my imagination. Well, a few months after Halloween, one of the teacher's daughters, who went to a very nearby school, they had them very close together within walking distance. She was a middle school child, so it didn't take her 5 minutes to get to where her mother worked. She asked me if I knew the school was haunted, and I thought she was just teasing me, and she said, "Go ask the principal." Well, the principal was walking by, and out of curiosity, I just thought, "Hey, you want to tell me why this place is haunted now?" And the look on her face went from pleasant to upset very quickly. She literally dragged me to from the hallway to a classroom and wanted to know who told me. I told her I didn't like being a snitch, but asked her, why wouldn't you tell me? Because people were afraid. The building had a reputation. It was like the town's best well-known secret. I told her me and my friends, when I was in high school, would get an adult to go get us Boone's Farm, and we just hide out in front of Resurrection Cemetery waiting to see the ghost of a girl named Resurrection Mary. So I didn't believe, really, kind of more curious than anything, but she told me her story. On one night the police had called her, said the alarm had gone off, and when they investigated, they'd heard children playing in an area that was very closed in, but yet when they got there, the sound stopped. The police, the principal, and a gentleman named Jack, who lived right across from the parking lot and was the manager of the bus barn, and the bus drivers, all 4 of them investigated the building. Nobody was in it. But then she told me after the police left, her and Jack were talking, and then they heard the sound of children playing in that enclosed area, and when they went to investigate, the sound stopped. That her other people had experiences, and she didn't want to go into it any further. I didn't believe any of this, really. I thought they were just teasing me. The other person I worked with at night asked, well, what would you do if something happened? And I said, nothing's going to happen. One of the legends was that somebody died on the gym floor back in the 40s. That there was a sound of basketballs being bounced off the floor from the ghost. So I stood near the gym door and I shouted, "Come and get me. Come on, show yourself. I'm not asking, I'm demanding." I said some rather horrible things I won't repeat. And what happened? Nothing. Not for 2 days. 2 days later, as I'm leaving, I'm being asked by the other custodian, is the office doors locked? I don't know. I thought maybe you'd lock the principal's office, and nope, I don't think I did. Go check them. So I went up a flight of stairs and walked toward the door and jiggled the handle. It was locked, but there was another door on the other side of the wall, so I went around and I reached for the knob. As I'm starting to jiggle the knob from behind me, I mean right up on me, I hear heavy breathing. I do not remember letting go of the doorknob. I don't remember running down the hallway. All I know is I was out of that building shaking. Now, if that had been the only thing that had happened, this would be a short story and not much to tell, but from there on, story, well, it gets a little bit more interesting. There was this one instance where me and the other night custodian and a teacher, we're listening to what sounds like the toilets being flushed in the upstairs lady's room and the stall doors being slammed, all three of them, slam, 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 flush. We all hear it. Nobody wants to go up into the room. Nobody wants to go past the door. I shout, "Who's in there?" and it stops. And then all three of us did go in, and nothing had been touched. Now, that ain't the only thing either. There were these gates. They were as tall from ceiling to floor, and they were used only when the gym was being used after school to keep people from roaming the entire building. They were latched up against the walls, and when needed, they would hook together. There were pins that set in the floor, and then a padlock to keep them from being opened. There was one upstairs and two downstairs. If the gym wasn't being used, we didn't touch them. In this one instance, the gym wasn't being used, and we had taken our cleaning supplies, the garbage can, the vacuum cleaner, the mop, everything we needed to clean the small rooms down a very small little hallway. And well, the guy I worked with, after we had pretty much got to it, he says, "I'm going to take a break. Let's go have a smoke." And it's like, well, we got 2 hours to clean something that don't take us half an hour, so why not? When we got to where the gate was, it was latched and bolted together. We didn't do it. We had no reason to do it. And the length of time it would have took for somebody to come through the door after they unlocked it to get in, go into that area, would have took them longer than it would have took us to have gone from where we were, going around the corner to where the gate was. The only two people in the building, the only people with keys to it, padlocked it, and we didn't touch it. And as for that small little hallway, the best for last. I would clean the rooms, and then I'd shut the doors. Now there were windows where light could have reflected, but as I said, I'd shut the doors after I cleaned the room, and now I'd just sweep up the mess in the hallway, clean it, and that area would be done. Well, as I was going back and forth with a push broom, I had a feeling that somebody was behind me. I thought maybe it was the other custodian trying to sneak up on me. So at one point I just swung around real fast, and what I caught sight of, it was a black mass. It wasn't floating on the floor like a shadow or on the walls. It was floating in the air, unlike a shadow. And then I watched it go through a closed door. It took me a few seconds to register this, but once I did. And I'm not the only one who ran out of that building in the middle of a work night. The other custodian, teachers' parent conferences. I was speaking with a 4th grade teacher. She was about to retire, and I was asking her about any memories of student that stuck out, any of the conferences she had with parents at. And she's relating a story to me, not giving me names for confidence reasons. When he came up the hallway and asked who was just upstairs on the phone, not that it mattered. Well, I've been here in this hallway the whole evening, and she said she'd been in her room the whole evening, and he turned white as a sheet. He swears he heard a voice loud and clear stating his name, and told him, "I'm glad you're here." The morning custodian, he's heard toilets flushing and showers flushing and running water in places where the water was turned off long ago. It used to be a high school. There had been 3 deaths on the property. As I stated earlier, somebody died in the gym floor. His name was Vaughn Walker. He had a heart murmur and a death at the age 17 in 1942 on the gym floor in front of his brother and another person who was a custodian when I was there. He talked about it without being asked. And as for the bus barn manager, his name was Jack, like I stated. One afternoon, without being asked, he brought up the subject. He said the children were loud and clear and sounded like they were having the times of their lives. I told him that I'd heard the sound of kids playing too, and I just wondered where it came from. It was an interesting place to work. About 3.5 years later, they tore it down to modernize it. It was so old since it was there from the 1930s. It wasn't built to hold things like air conditioning and the computers, the energy it needed. So they just tore it down to build a new one. Makes you wonder what happened to all the things that walked in those hallways at night. But since they tore the building down, they didn't need custodians anymore, and I was let go. I hope them luck. And I hope nothing feels sighted from having their home torn down around them.